Today, I'm announcing that the United States will ban Russian-affiliated ships from our ports as they did in Europe. That means no ship that sails under the Russian flag or that is owned or operated by a Russian interest will be.
Okay, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. All the food distribution and plants being burned up. Okay, yes, I'm seeing all your messages. Y'all know I sit on things for a while, right? Like, as soon as news comes out, I don't like to be the first person just to go talk about it. I like to look at it. I like to sit on it. I like to pray about it. I like to do some research on it and to discern, right? Because so when you discern something, you're literally, it's the act of discerning. Like, what are you picking up from that situation that is leading me? So, let's talk about it.
Is it true that the government is paying farmers to destroy their crops? And the simple answer to that is yes, they are.
I initially heard about the government paying farmers to destroy their crops. I thought it was a load of bullshit. Well, lo and behold, we received
paid by the government. I don't understand what it's all about, but they got paid. Now they hired us to come in here and just destroy whatever we can. I don't understand how it all works, but we're already paid for a certain amount of time. You can hear the first
from the scene right now. This is the second time in a week that something like this has happened. On April 14th, the plane crashed into the Gem State Processing in East Idaho. What's going on here? Well, the story gets weirder. Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire. A couple of days ago, a fire destroyed the headquarters of Azure Standard, one of the largest organic food distributors in the country. At the end of last month, a fire severely damaged a fresh onion packing facility in South Texas. In Oregon, a potato chip processing plant just reported a boiler explosion that sent workers to the hospital. Here's a news report on that.
Eastern Oregon, where crews are battling a major fire at a potato chip processing plant. Air 12 flew over the scene at Shearer's Foods on Highway 207 in Hermiston. We're told the fire was caused by an explosion of a portable boiler there. 2 people were taken to the hospital.
So industrial accidents happen, of course, but this is a lot.
Okay, so here's the deal with it. Normally, a couple things happen. Most people would just go, no, it's just an accident. I'm just going to write that off, right? You have got literally every day something's coming out about this. You've got 2 planes that have crashed into them now. You've got random fires that are happening. These supply chains are being disrupted. We've even seen that from certain ships that are not going to be allowed to come into our harbors. You've got all those ships off of Shanghai that are just sitting there because they can't go in. We've seen the supply chain disruptions from other things going on. You've had the WEF that has warned you're not going to have all that food. Okay, but here's the deal. You can look at it, you can see the nefarious agenda, you can call it out and all those things, but what are you going to do about it? That's the question for me. Is we can be aware, we can pay attention to it, we can put our, emphasis in going, I see what you're doing, but what's the solution and what are we going to do about it? That's the biggest question that we have to be asking about all this stuff. What are we going to do about it? Because if you don't have a solution, you're just feeding to the problem. You're just continuing to feed energy into these nefarious things that are harming and hurting people, whether they're being done on purpose, whether they're being done consciously or unconsciously. Whether people are being used and understand what they're doing, and whether there are just some accidents that are occurring, but it's still feeding into the same issue and problem that are affecting millions of people around the globe. So when you continue to only focus on the nefarious agendas and the things that are hurting people, you are giving so much energy to that to continue to allow it to go on until you flip the switch and you go, well, this is what we're going to do. So these are just a few solutions that I have thought about. Number 1, I'm going to be aware. Number 2, I'm going to call it out, and I'm going to call it out and say, I see what you're doing. Stop it. You're not going to do this anymore. I'm not an idiot. I am not someone who can't discern into the situations and physically and spiritually see into them. Okay. Number 3, there is a freedom in responsibility to step out and start doing some things. Okay. But we've been so reliant on government structures and these corporations that have literally fed us in many different ways, but I'm talking about physical food right now, that have fed us for generations. It used to not be that way, but when we have relied so much on someone else putting that food into your mouth, they've got all the power. So another solution for me would be, this is where it's getting back to the simpler things in life. Start growing your own food. Start having community gardens. There is a community about 10 miles from me that actually has this large community garden. They have a farmer that actually came out and started teaching the kids how to farm. How amazing is that? Most of our kids, even myself, I'm having to learn. I don't really know that stuff. I didn't learn that in my generation because we had kind of moved into a new place in our society where we weren't doing that, right? And you see a whole movement right now of people going, no, I'm taking that back on myself. I'm taking ownership in that. The other thing is find out who your local farmers are, their eggs, meat that they have. Many of them will go to the farmers markets on the weekends, on Saturdays. Some of them you can order from them online. You can start getting your meats. Go in with 2 or 3 families and start buying your beef, and then you split it all amongst everybody. You put it in your freezer and you've got it for a while. There are other things that we can do besides relying on something that is trying to harm people, and you start taking action. We have to start taking action and doing things instead of just going, we're just all going to die. We're just all going to starve to death. I mean, just the whole world is just over, and all these people and all this system. Well, heck yeah, that system is corrupt. That system is not good for us. That system is crumbling, and we have to do something to create a new place. We're going into this new era, and it's like when people only focus on the doom and gloom, you totally miss what could be. You totally miss how you can be part of the new creation of those foundations and those institutions that are crumbling because they need to be rebuilt and restored and renewed. So what are we going to do about it? So if you have other ideas, though, share them with me. I'm not the end all be all. I pray about it. I ask, I seek wisdom. I'm like, hey, give me some more information. I talk to people who are in the farming industry, who are in, like growing of crops and things like that. And I listen to what they have to say. I mean, we even got like fertilizers right now who are stuck on ships. So they're like, well, we're not going to be able to grow because we don't have fertilizer. Well, let's come up with a new solution. Okay, this will be the last thing I say about this. Probably not, but right now. We talk a lot about being sovereign beings and going into a sovereignty that we've not known because it's been stripped from us. But you also have to look at it and go, have we had any responsibility in allowing that to be stripped? Of course we have. We took a complacent backseat and allowed these things to come in. Oh, we'll just take care of you. It'll be fine. We'll just take care of you. Just allow us to do it. And then when you see things like this happen, you're like, wait, I didn't take my own responsibility and my own ownership in it, and I allowed that to happen. So there's a part of us that has a responsibility to take our own eyes of understanding now and go, how can I be different and move forward in this? So in order to step into being a sovereign citizen, a sovereign being, there's a responsibility in freedom. So if you are free to govern yourself, are you free to barter? Are you free to feed yourself? Are you free to work? Are you free? Or are you putting yourself into these systems and institutions that just feed you information, feed you your work, feed you your food, feed you the governing systems that you are going to live under and operate under? That is not a sovereign being, because then all the responsibility is removed from you and it's placed inside these institutions. So to have a sovereign being and to be that we are all saying, I want that. Well, what type of responsibility are we willing to take? Because a lot of people don't want that responsibility. They're very fine and complacent with just someone else feeding them all the time. I'm just going to do my thing and you just give me all the things I need. Where there's a whole other group of people that are like, no,